Well, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I am visiting my sister Dina just outside of Wichita, Kansas, and we thought it would be fun to compare our gardens and our climates. And as you know, I garden in Gilbert, Arizona, which is very different from here in Kansas. So this is my sister Dina, and we've both gotten really into gardening, but as you can see, our gardens look pretty different. So Kansas and Arizona have very different climates, and so today we're going to be talking about how that affects what we grow and how we take care of our plants. So first off, how would you describe the growing season here in Kansas compared to Arizona?
I am a little jealous because I know that you guys get to grow all year long in Arizona. We don't start planting until late April, and then it runs through early October. So we do have a lot of native plants that are drought tolerant, which is very similar to Arizona.
So really quick, I noticed that you guys built a beautiful garden house for your raised garden beds. Is that because of the deer that are in the area, or what was the thought process behind all of that?
Primarily, it was because of the deer. I love the deer, but I don't so much like them eating my plants, especially when they're newly planted. Also, the flower gardens that I have on the side of the house really weren't conducive to vegetables. And we really liked the raised garden beds for vegetables because the soil is more loose and I just feel like they grow better that way, whereas the gardens in the side of the house are all in ground.
You definitely have better control in a raised garden bed, and sometimes when you don't know your soil conditions, I mean, you could always do like a soil test, but sometimes it's just easier to control those conditions when you're working in a raised garden bed.
I agree.
Feel the same way. Well, I have been dying to see your garden house. I am so proud of you guys for taking on such a big project, and if you don't mind, I would love to go take a look.
Oh my goodness. Look at this.
Oh my gosh, look at your plants are huge. When did you guys plant these?
We planted these in late May. I believe it was Memorial Day weekend.
Wow. I have a jalapeno plant in one of my raised garden beds. It is not near this size at all, and this is our second year having it. So it just goes to show that these plants definitely thrive in the Midwest. That is way cool. So we've got a lot of jalapenos. Can you tell me what else you guys have growing in here?
Sure, we have some pepperoncinis.
Nice.
And some serranos. And I believe in the back we have hot banana peppers.
Okay. And then let's check out over here.
On this side, this is all the mild peppers. So mostly bell peppers with a few jalapenos mixed in.
I can see a few right here. Awesome. I think it's really smart that you guys divided them up so that way you kind of have like your more mild side and then the side over here that's more spicy. And then it looks like you guys have some cherry tomatoes. Look at that. My cherry tomato plant is just getting started.
We actually just moved here in 2023, so we've not been here very long, and we have a long ways to go. We've mostly been cleaning up the property. The forest has needed a lot of work. As far as the vegetable house, what I'd like to do is create a second one right next door, and then that will double our raised bed space, giving us 6 beds instead of just 3.
In Arizona, it's just so hot in the summer that I have to plan around it, and I just feel like we get these extreme temperatures that make it really hard on the plants and they struggle. What are some of the challenges that you face here in Kansas?
I totally get that. We have very similar challenges. Whereas you guys go months with these extremely hot temperatures, we might only go 3 to 4 weeks where the temperatures are very hot and very intense and the plants are wilting and we're just trying to get them to survive. But after we get through those first few weeks, then the temperatures kind of lower and it's like a second spring. The plants kind of rebound. They kind of get a second chance before we transition into fall. We just have to be very diligent in watching the temperatures in the springtime because there's just that window. You just have to plant it just right. One day it could be like 80 degrees. The next day we could be getting a hard freeze. In addition to those wild temperature fluctuations in the spring, we also have tornado season at that same time. So that usually brings hail, high winds, and of course tornadoes. So that's all stuff we have to protect our plants from, which can be very challenging.
We definitely don't have those in Arizona, and it's definitely clear that we have very different weather conditions in our climates. What is the average rainfall typically in Kansas?
In south central Kansas, we get about an average of 29 inches.
Whoa. So, and in Arizona, I believe the Phoenix area averages about 7. What a difference. So tell me, what plants do you grow here that you do really well with, and which ones are a little more difficult to keep alive?
Well, I like to do a lot of perennials that are native to our area. My superstar go-to plants are always coneflowers, milkweed, and definitely allium. Yes. I can always count on them to grow well for me, and they are my staples in the garden. And not only that, they're very easy to divide, so I can multiply them and spread them even further into my garden. The plants that I struggle with are zinnias, which I love so much. I guess I would have to say I try to pick flowers that I know will grow well, that I know I can rely on and don't require so much maintenance, you know.
Smart, yeah.
But something that I do regularly is I do check them for deadheading. The ones that like to be deadheaded, which is pretty much most flowers, I would say, but there's some exceptions.
I always find that the ones that are the exceptions they kind of give you a little break.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite flower right now in Arizona is my zinnias, and I know that you mentioned that you have a really hard time growing those here. Man, do they ever thrive in the Arizona heat, like in the fullest of the summer. They're like going strong.
That kind of makes me wonder if perhaps zinnias don't like the humidity that the Kansas region has. They might prefer the dry desert air that Arizona offers.
Yep. And I think that just goes to show that in these different climates, you're going to have some things that are just absolutely going to love the climate here, whereas other things are going to prefer that hot, drier climate or just the drier conditions as well.
Something else that I do is I try and look for damaged leaves and I will trim those off. But I don't do this during times of extremely hot temperatures. You want to leave your plants alone during that time. Don't add to their stress, which can be difficult because you're like, I just want to take that ugly leaf off of you, but let it be.
I have been known to do that. That's probably why my plants struggle sometimes. I'm torturing them.
You love them too much.
A little too much love, yeah. For me, my biggest challenges in Arizona are keeping everything watered, especially during the hottest months. Do you find that you have any issues with water management here?
Well, for water conservation, I don't really do anything too major. We keep a 5-gallon bucket right outside for when it rains, and then we use that water during our dry spells, which is really good. Rainwater is always really good for watering plants.
We do it in Arizona too.
Okay, so that's something we have in common.
Mm-hmm. All right, so as you can see, even though we're in 2 completely different climates, gardening is always about figuring out what works best for your area. So whether it's dealing with heat in Arizona or managing the shorter growing season in Kansas, it's all about learning and adapting. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Dina. It has been a really fun comparison between our 2 gardens, and I hope that this video helps you all get some ideas for your own gardens at home. So no matter where you're at or where you're growing, I hope and wish you the best of success. All right, guys, well, that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please remember to hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed currently, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you get notified of new videos coming out. I hope I'll see you again on the next one. Bye! John, get out of my film. John! And that is my husband, everybody. He doesn't currently have any projects to work on, so he's bored out of his mind.